Thinking about this, Corrode, we've been discussing, you know, how similar, and the players were speaking about how similar they are in style. Who would you say it favors in this case? Because we have not seen Fnatic. Do you think they should be a good map for them?
It should be. Yeah, it should be a good map for them.
Okay, Alpha Vice?
Alpha Vice. This is something that I don't think he's actually played. Has he played it this year? I don't think he has.
We've seen Crown. I don't think we've seen Alpha, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, and looking like a pretty stable... Oh, it's BBL flipped with
clarify,
sorry.
the Fnatic and BBL titles are flipped round the other way.
It's so crazy. I bet to you that what happened in production was that somebody read Magnum's name and that was like, oh, Fnatic. Fnatic goes here.
So BBL still sticking with the Gecko core, but like Phoenix is being swapped out for the Yoru. They swapped out Viper as well. So in my opinion, the BBL comp is a better version of what they were doing before, but it is still that core identity of double smokes. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, like Yampy on the Gecko, it looked good. I'm very glad that they've moved away from that Phoenix. I don't think it's something that we kind of saw a whole lot of value from when they did play it. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see this matchup today.
Okay, we are ready, players are ready, and so are our caster for today's first series. Haz and Cairo are back in the venue again, and I have a feeling that Cairo loves Corrode.
The biggest of Corrode fans, aren't we here, as the road to Paris starts here, of course. Over the next 4 days, we will be starting to figure out what that top 4 looks like. And for BBL, the belief that they belong there can only be solidified if they can get past one of these top 3 teams.
The thing about this matchup, though, is Fnatic have been able to beat everyone domestically apart from one. And it's the opponent that lies before them right now. Are BBL Fnatic's kryptonite? And can they be able to win right here in the first match of playoffs?
That's the question that we pose to the team on your screen, of course. Already qualifying to champions is the narrative. Can you then bolster your chances on the big stage at an international event in EMEA, which we have waited to see, of course, be the pinnacle of competition for them. And that's the thing. It's the trophy that has always managed to evade them. Boaster on your screen, one of those players, of course, in this core, which when we talk about new maps, just don't quite have the history there recently.
Yeah, and it's good that you bring up Boaster here as well, because when they finished the match against Apex, they had the sit down with him, right? And he was saying that they're going to try and get as far as they can in playoffs, but ultimately they want to prepare their map pool and refine it for champs. That's the big aspect here, and that's where the goals are going to be for Fnatic.
Heading into Corrode, Fnatic were unwilling to play the new map at home last year. Lost it both times in Korea on Abyss. But since then now, they're choosing a guaranteed route that we will be heading in and getting some airtime on it. As you can see, the statistic backing that up. With this core, Pearl coming in, Lotus the only real map that they hit the ground running on. For BBL, it's been, you know, a while since we've seen this one from them too. Second week against Giant X, just when it looked like they'd suffered yet another setback, losing out massively on their attack half. I'll start the defense here.
Yeah, and it's great info, early doors, 3 players hit by the Dizzy, but BBL putting their focus on a weaker side of the map. The mid portion, Boaster lying, and unfortunately caught out. Big entry pick from Levin.
BBL often leaving the B site open when they play GX. Happy to go for the retake, and with numbers in their favor here, that looks to be the view. Slight focus on Kayak, facing the defender spawn side of the map.
Alpha going to play as a late win condition here, lurking through, but BBL already making work through CT and clearing it out. Alpha's luck works out, getting rid of Prophet. So all the bodies towards CT, and Fnatic know that they're going to set up for it. Levin through, but Fnatic completely fill the kill feed and win out the first pistol.
It's comfortable enough from them in the end after losing Boaster in the mid-duel, which we're expecting to see a lot more of. That's where BBL had put their priority, leaving B open and paying a hefty price here. But taking a step back again, that has to be the master plan for Fnatic and their champions run, because they've had a few
Beautiful
goes at it now
boys.
over the last couple of years. 2023, the peak of their performance, 24, a learning curve, and 25, now you're really expecting them to have put the right measures in place.
Yeah, I think like you think towards like 2023, the potential golden road for Fnatic there, it felt as if by the time that they got to champs, they just ran out of steam a little bit.
Of course, Sunset and Abyss were both difficulties for them last year, and then flipping that around, you have to consider it's interesting with Abyss now coming back in for the next champ cycle, as Fnatic are making light work of this eco, because Sunset was released 3 days after the conclusions of Champs 2023, so we didn't see it come back into competitive play really until kickoff at the beginning of the next year. So now with time to think about what it is they want to do and giving us a look at what it could potentially mean for them here, it has been a solid start.
Yeah, I mean, everyone already knows the fact that they were able to make it all the way to Toronto Grand Final, and now they'll be wanting to repeat that feat at Champs. And that all starts with fixing this map pool, right? A dominant start on Corrode could cement themselves as a team to be wary of, right?
Really
if you pick
nice.
this map against them.
Really nice.
It was really nice.
Simply lovely.
And so with a flawless second round under their belt already, Fnatic will be looking at giving this bonus a crack, if you could even really call it that. There's money behind them, full set of rifles. They're continuing to push their own interests, further them through middle. It's Sociable instead that gets the opener A main, and Kayak of all players, the one that falls.
Levin needs to be careful of his timing on TP. He's the only one holding on to mid and all alone. A player who is first in first kills, but also pretty high in first deaths as well. And Profit gets caught out.
The risk that you take, but two players immediately behind Link side. A wall placed here by Alpha, just signposting the authority of Fnatic as they continue this slow creep, and Levin caught trying to make some sort of a play. Yampi could suffer a similar fate, and there you go. Fnatic, once again, walking through BBL as if they weren't there.
Yeah, it feels as if Fnatic are now starting to pull BBL limb from limb. That will most likely be a bonus round converted here. Both are up against Sociable in their own spawn, and like ships in the night, they pass each other.
Two teams we've seen in this region for many a year, their involvement spanning back all the way to 2020, 2021. But the kickoff game that we saw, that opener, was BBL's first win in their history against the Black and Orange. And looking at the parallels to now with the change that's been made, Magnum, of course, coming in, a former Fnatic player, they're pushing for these top 4 spots, or at least it feels like they've been there or thereabouts all year long. From that kickoff run, how it ended up, to narrowly missing out from stage 1 in Toronto. And so here, really, in these bigger games, against the kind of opposition that you have to beat to put yourself on the biggest of stages, don't want to see the ground fall from beneath their feet too quickly. It's one rifle saved by Sociable in the end there. But for Fnatic, from strength to strength, and some of those ults getting closer to coming online.
Well, something to work with. You saw how BBL wanted to play the anti-eco round against Fnatic, being aggressive, and once again, B main set up to look the exact same. Fnatic were able to get through tricky waters last time, but can they navigate it this time round? On the orb, is that the trigger?
Same Vice Wall that we've seen placed a couple of times now by Alpha. Typically, you would see Kron on that roll, but the slight switch up, and Kayak holding an angle under the arch, but comes off it just as BBL make their move.
I don't know, through Sociable, the only rifle, can't quite get the fight that he's looking for. Places the smoke, creates a question mark that Fnatic will have to re-clear, or maybe they feel forced to go elsewhere on the map.
See, investigation of mid. BBL have 3 players here. They outnumber Fnatic in this fight for the moment.
Yeah, but they don't outnumber them in terms of weapons, and that's the problem that BBL will have to try and face, get through, but unfortunately at this moment in time, they can't. It's going to end up an even trade in Yampi, looking to hold on through A length, all alone, untradeable.
Fnatic moving through the map in numbers, but time is dwindling here. We know they like to play it late. A, one of the hardest sites to hit without time.
Yeah, but look at Magnum playing in the smoke with a shotgun. You thought just for a moment he might be able to make it work, but Profik is. Sheriff hitting, Spike finally down, but Sociable's here, the only rifle. A player that needs to clutch up against 2. Althea and Boaster playing off of one another.
Has the smoke back up now, though?
That's going to stop any lines of sight onto the defuse and is able to get rid of the arc rows. Both players begin to walk towards Sociable, but spammed out. It will be 4 in a row for Fnatic.
The round that you expect Fnatic to win, but kept fairly close, always having your heart in your mouth when you're watching them play. That was disgusting from Kayak. Sociable is not quite keen enough on the trade to make it any more doable than the 1 versus 2.
Someone check for Kayak's PC, please. What was that?
Yeah, it was definitely nothing out of the ordinary from what we've come to expect from him in his rookie year, of course. From 7 months ago in that kickoff duel until now, looking much more like a functioning component of this Fnatic machine, which as it stands, has left no stone unturned. Yampi collecting some information early on, the Dizzy again towards B. This time, Fnatic with a more tempered approach, but it's into 11's op.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. 11's op for the first time. Can he get the value out of it? The arc was already used, but taking a bit of damage off the back of that. And if, I was about to say, Fnatic want to execute, they do have the ultimate. Well, the first of that is going to be the dimensional drift, and that's combined with the steel garden. And Kayak's entry into the site is blustering. Magnum's able to at least get 1 back in BBL's favour, but they're still at a numbers disadvantage.
Fantastic set piece to open up, but BBL still have numbers here. And Sociable has 1 more TP, but Alpha finds him inside the smoke.
Yeah, now Fnatic 2 to the good. It gets even worse. Magnum, the only one really being able to get kills in this round and waiting for the wall to drop so he can get Profik to support him, but it's not going to happen. It's going to be Fnatic dominance in this round once again. Looking to be 5 in the row unless Profik can find 3 of his own, but he's thrown in the white flag. He tries to escape, but you can't escape Fnatic.
Fantastic individual round from Kayak, but one which he was set up to execute. Just as I was saying, he's found his place in the team. It takes time to make these kinds of plays work, but it's exactly what was successful for them against Liquid of very few things when they had these orchestrated approaches, split pushes, using the dimensional drift when he can TP ahead. I'm thinking of Market on Ascent, for example. And the combination with the Steel Garden to just strip the gun from the hands of Yampi was the cherry on top. One of the first times we see BBL actively try and fight for the B space instead of conceding it. This is another eco for BBL. One of the most difficult parts about the defender's side, which we just want to reiterate. They picked up 9 rounds against GX on last time.
And yeah, that is very true, but I want to pick up on a quote that the head coach Pal had given us when he guested on the desk, and he was talking more about how his compositions need to be loaded more for the attack side, right? So maybe that's where BBL's focus has been. Okay. As for right now, BBL playing this round on the attack. 2 entry kills, 1 through a Bucky, 1 through a Sheriff. And Fnatic feeling like they're on the back foot a bit.
Yeah, from some incredibly aggressive positioning as well. BBL also with the mid control. Quick rotation towards B. Fnatic forced to make this play, guided into the defense, which is waiting for them.
Yeah, and the utility is great for delay. Time is getting low, and we all know that Fnatic like to play with low time. And they've already got the next one back in their favour, right? Still 1 down, but it is still BBL to try and deny a plan. 18 seconds, Althea gets another. Now the body's starting to dwindle. It's all going wrong for BBL just when you think there's a chance. The spike go through, but Yampi denies. And Alfia, I don't know if he's got enough time. He has to commit to it, comes off the plan, and gives BBL the first round.
Rebel clutch for Yampi. One on time itself. Final grains hitting the bottom of the hourglass. Alfia will find the kill afterwards. It's a very nicely set up round, Mosh aside. Very deep positioning, and as soon as Magnum gets outside of A, the rest feel a sense of confidence to bolster the B hold. He joins the fray late on. And BBL fly in the face of Fnatic to find their first on an eco.
But it doesn't really do much for the bank account of BBL either. That's the sad reality. It's a round, yes, but still one that puts BBL in a difficult spot.
And when the macro is set up well enough by Yampi here, you're kind of confident to keep going as the coach. You don't need to invest an early timeout just yet, give Fnatic an opportunity to talk things over either. They'll be making their way over to the A site. Yampi's already put a hell of a lot of noise on the B side. He leaves behind him Chronicle, who will be slow on his approach, and Magnum out of Link is the player to be worried about. 2 kills immediately. Fnatic a little bit laboured as they slowly stagger their way through the courtyard towards the A site.
BBL have control of Spike, but look at Alfia finding another angle of approach.
Profex considered this though, and from the angle he will find the Turk. Taken down now, 4 versus 2. Numbers in favour for BBL to increase their efforts, double their round count.
Last player standing.
Without a break in play required either. It's Profex to strike yet again. Chronicle have the pit. There is no position from which to play. Magnum in the end at the triple. BBL restoring order on this map before it gets out of hand.
BBL very reactive to Fnatic's push. But I think for me as well, the other aspect of this as well, Magnum does well here, is we've got to be thinking in the early rounds, right? The pick on towards Kron in that B main, or on towards Yampi. I think there was a potential opportunity for Fnatic to pivot because they weren't completely out of A main just yet.
Yeah, Yampi creating a distraction really, and perhaps anticipating on the Fnatic side that there would be more behind it. So in the previous round, they were quick to get that Vice Wall placed in A main, and here, it's the exact same, but right on the edge of the Viper's pit. BBL, same push outside of B again, but there are numbers to this Fnatic attack this time.
As BBL hanging around, the same smoke that Sociable dropped last time, but Paranoia waiting, and they deny any more space. So very well done by Fnatic to keep control of B main, but BBL still want to fight this.
Oh, huge kill from Magnum in the meantime as well. Finding one in mid. He's cornered in the process, and Sociable's out of smokes to help him.
Able to not be drawn out, but the fights come through, and when they do, BBL come out on top. But not only that, get control of Spike! And this is going to be a disaster for Fnatic if they can't get that back. Look, they're all towards the B side. BBL need to be careful of their flank.
And we're approaching the 30-second mark again here, so Fnatic don't have time to play with. They need to win the duels.
That they do. Kron, lost start, gets taken out, and now look at Crashies having to approach from top mid. BBL change up the positioning, Magnum towards the other side. They can both double swing if needed, but there's a time in here. Crashies gets the spike, but the pick comes through, and BBL get a third in a row.
Another huge round from Magnum as well. A player with a point to prove coming into this game. He's represented multiple different organizations. Now on the hunt for a second ever champs appearance after making his debut there with Fnatic back in 2021. The only other win that he had against them was the first in kickoff with KC a year ago. But I think the big story with that team was that they couldn't keep the momentum up throughout the year. That's something that BBL have been able to excel in. This change of team culture, which has, you know, upholstered the entire fabric of the organization we thought we knew as they've moved to an international roster.
Yeah, and this international roster keeps going from strength to strength. The only teams that they've never, or the only team that they've not been able to beat is Heretics, who lie in wait in the next game.
Further down the gauntlet, something to think about, and those statistics on the screen back up exactly the point that we're trying to make here. BBL, a household name in the Turkish region, but one which was synonymous with group stage exits. In fact, even a win for them today would represent them replicating something that they did in the previous stage, finding 4 successive wins in VCT EMEA, which they had been unable to do before. That had been the issue. They'd been stagnating, but you do feel a real difference in the squad here, and that's reflected through the players as well.
Yeah, I mean, all eyes on champs for everybody. We know that. We know the stakes that are here for both teams, right? Fnatic already qualified, but for BBL, this is the most important game that they could possibly play.
And while we have Magnum with his headset off, he's been someone who we've also seen changing character, even within this roster. The amount of times you see him shouting across the stage. And why does he feel confident to do that? Because he's got Yampi right next to his side. If you contrast that with previous teams that he's been on, we've not really seen that aspect to Magnum. You know, Apex weren't a shouty bunch. You couldn't really say the same for KC. I mean, Narrate would stand up every now and then, but it doesn't really count. So yeah, there is a certain feeling within this team, and more than anything, to draw it all back, it's mirrors with that GX game. That second game in the group, going down 0-2 with the matches they had remaining. How many times have you seen a team come back from that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, right? Is about how we've seen BBL and like strength and mentality as well, in terms of there's the confirmation with the red lights.
Yeah.
But like the fact that like we've seen BBL's like mentality as a whole being able to bounce back, the fact that they lost the first 2 games in groups as well and had to turn what was potentially looking like a bleak end to the season through the last 3 games.
Yeah. Absolutely, but it is a brief intermission. We're right back in. I think you could tell that it wasn't too serious of an issue, just something with the gear. A tech pause indeed, but no time to waste. Right back into Corrode. And look, it was at the end of Fnatic's veto before. They floated it a few times, and we were sort of hoping that we were going to get it. They've opted right into it here, and well, there you go. He's the only one who's actually been able to get past them after leaving. I don't know what that says about former Fnatic players.
I mean, think about the players that have left, right? Kayak, which is a big one, considering, you know?
Yeah.
At the same time, focus on the round. 11, deep in mid. We've seen him do this push quite a few times. Yampi's towards top mid, jump spotting, and has long-range utility that can support. But Fnatic have somehow being too focused on what they were doing, and Levin's got an opportunity to find a player. That was Kayak.
Common positioning for Levin as well. I'm surprised that he's able to take the 1 versus 1 there. Does still have the TP.
And it's the second time he's done it.
Yeah. And that makes it all the more surprising. I mean, even here, Boaster's overlooked it. Caught falling foul to the same player again. Finally, he overstays his welcome, and that's something that we have to mention. The discipline on the BBL side. All of this aggression expected from Fnatic after the timeout. You could see the setup. They were playing passive, but now they have the picks.
Thrash being used, and obviously that's going to be on a timer to when it expires, but Fnatic trying to brute force their way through A-Link, and it's not working out. Prophet gets the pick onto Chronicle, and Sociable pushing main gets Alfia. Leaves crashes in a 1 versus 3, but he does have the spike on his back.
Sight at his disposal for now, but Sociable closing the gap with that paranoia.
Yeah, and so is the rest of BBL. They'll get confirmation of their 4th, and that's after Fnatic timed out.
Fnatic had started a few of their previous games, maps against Liquid, Apex, Na'Vi, all very slowly. It's after the timeout usually that you then see those improvements come through. The difference here is that it was 5 rounds in a row. And yep, that's the new map for you. As we said before, in terms of overall wins on new map debuts, they are 3 and 4. So 42% win rate on any new map for the first time, and that's one of the factors, I suppose, for getting your lineups.
Yeah, but the other aspect to this is Fnatic now have everything that they need to push themselves forward for the last couple of rounds. They have 4 out of 5 ultimates, and Crashes is close to his Nightfall as well. And BBL, aggressive in the mid-round once again, and is 11 on a line from A-Link.
Toxic screen goes back up, but that's for both teams. Fnatic wearing through their toxins to take the duel on Profek, hoping that he would be willing to challenge. 2 players caught by the trail of the Nightfall. There is a third here, though. That reveal has just reconfirmed Chronicle's position. Again, BBL given the mid control. Still got Alpha hanging around A late, and that's where you think Fnatic might opt to pivot. But Levin left unchecked could continue to be an issue, and he's just setting up Yampi instead.
Yampi has a full belt of utility as well, but it's that dimensional drift that's going to be used. And remember, Yampi has been seen, and he has no way out. Has to use Levin as a ways of supporting him out of this. And Althea in the corner catches Yampi. Levin at least gets the trade out, and Magnum goes one better, finding Kayak. Delay further in B main. Fnatic can't quite get out.
And still stalling here, still utility to work with. Paranoia in the hands of Social arriving late.
Yeah, 20 seconds left. Fnatic need to get a move on. We know that this is where they like to play, but BBL, they're using that to their advantage. Kron holding on and potentially able to do it. Spike in his back pocket. He's up against Magnum, who's wrapping him round, and he's going to get it. Magnum makes it 5-all.
Another multi-kill for Magnum as we head into the end of this first half. Only a couple of rounds left in it, and Fnatic on the brink of having their buy broken. Levin still able to freely operate within mid. His opening game, sort of second game against Fnatic in VCT, felt almost defining, I think, in terms of how aggressive he was willing to be against some of the best teams that we've seen in the region. The best that EMEA has ever sent to an international stage. And with them thinking to the future, all focus on the present very quickly. We're at a tied game.
Yeah, 2 ultimates used with no value off the back of Fnatic. Steel Garden still there, as well as the Viper's Pit.
It's a change up in the Viper wall. And BBL on this extremity with the Yoru, pushing the envelope.
Levin forced out. BBL looking to regress their positioning and delay as much as they possibly can, but Fnatic have changed their pace. Where's Sociable come from? Unfortunately, risked it too much and gets caught out as Fnatic overwhelm the site and look to finish this one off, leaving Profek all alone.
So much work on his shoulders. He's spotted the second player having found the first.
4 players all trained to this one position. You'd expect this is impossible, and it is. Fnatic finally make it 6 and guarantee at least an even half.
It was a nice idea from Sociable with the TP there as well, hoping that the Nightfall would have hit onto enough targets, and even Crashes was marked, but just had the presence of mind to stay aware of the possibility. It's a really interesting Viper wall that we have on the execution here. It does allow for Fnatic to fight those close angles with a little more confidence. Enough to get them over the hump and land them on a 6th, but still money behind BBL. To see if they can keep it tied out of the opening 12. Levin chasing them away from the A site.
Yeah, already finding quite a few bodies through that. That's at least 3 that you see TPing out just before the ultimate expires. Where does Fnatic go? Do they look to re-clear A main? It looks like that's the case, but Sociable has taken that space for himself.
Well, we've seen the change in the duel list. The macro for BBL is very much the same. Very aggressive early on. Fnatic respecting this, but Sociable on the angle does get checked. And they're looking to invest a bit more utility here to take him off position.
Fnatic aren't fully sold on this being an A finish just yet, but the body's starting to move over. Maybe that's different from what I think. Sociable needs to be really careful, nearly catches Poster off guard and has to use the paranoia to get out, or so I thought. On the side of the dark cover, 4 players for Fnatic. Yeah, he's just trying to be a bit too cheeky. Has at least one. But as the players start to move forward, there's still damage! Kayak at least is able to get the trade before Sociable pounces. But Kayak now through A main, trying to be the person leading the line, but instead it's Alfia so deep. And when the AWP drops, that's when the engagements will ensue, but Fnatic need to get a move on.
Look at the spike! There's 10 seconds, Cairo. There's simply not enough to get this one done. I don't know what Fnatic are up to.
And Yampi's won the duel on B main as well. Fnatic are the makers of their own doom and make it a 6-6 half.
There were points on their offense against Liquid where they looked scared, and as uncharacteristic as that is to say, it's happened again here. Sociable, non-stop scorched earth, keeps them back for as long as he can, and it's just too much ground to cover in the end. Plenty of work to be done for both teams, I think, coming out of this half, but BBL certainly with a confidence boost. Respect shown by the BBL fans that have turned out today, and I mean, what a result this could be to keep them moving forward in the bracket. It's 6-6 on the half, a strong start for Fnatic, but things very quickly turned around, even post-timeout. Two faces that will have checked in with their coaches now and had plenty to say coming out of the half. It's Poster and Yampi.
Yeah, I mean, between these two, they have been in the game for the longest time, right? And in terms of their personal performance, Yampi, for me, has been on average, right? On par. You can see that with his stats, whereas Poster has taken maybe a little dip in performance, but his calling has reached another level.
We're always expecting Yampi to be a fragging IGL, unfortunately, sits at the foot of the scoreboard as it stands. But deadlock on the half should have you slightly concerned, even if you are on the BBL side of things, because it's the attack side where they did massively struggle before. Just 2 rounds against GX, looking for their first on this A push. It started with success. Prophet finding Alpha. Kayak trying to flash back out, and takes 2! Oh! The Prince of Pistol may just have crowned himself king. Ridiculous flicks from Kayak. And of all players, it's Yampi that's got to try and walk back in. An ace to add further trouble. Fnatic have flight in the second half.
We know BBL struggle with their attack side on road since the last time that they played it, but this is ridiculous. This is something extraordinary from the young gun that Fnatic have picked up.
Sit down.
Prophet having absolutely none of it. Both from the East League, of course. Plenty familiar with each other, as, you know, even the coaching staff on either sides of the server are. Pal's protege, Scott, happy with what he's seen. This a commanding buy for the next. It's straight into Kayak's site they go again, and he's already at the races.
That he is. Alfie gets rid of 11 as Kayak still continues on. That spike on the ground, and well, it's going to be as easy as possible for Fnatic. A nice round all in.
Isolate the problem.
It's
You
very, very simple stuff for Fnatic. Opening both halves as it stands, and BBL sort of giving it to them here, I suppose.
down A.
Trying to make the set piece work, but still not quite what they would have been looking for. And Fnatic's bonus not going to be as good as it was on the attack side. But Kayak already has the Yoru ult, and in terms of how they want to play, happier to invest more heavily on mid, play retake towards either side of the map with that.
So much spam damage through the defensive Viper wall. As Fnatic look to hold on to it fairly well. At the same time, BBL are working with one player on either extremity and have given up mid. Fnatic holding on to that, and it's an important part of the map. That's why Sociable's still holding on here, seeing if he can at least get something.
That'll have to be the plan for the next round. Kayak spearheading it again. Another kill picked up, this time Sociable. In terms of what options that leaves BBL with, the Viper Wall's committed towards mid. They've got to walk in dry. It's Kayak again! A triple made into a quad. And inside the first 3 rounds, he's nearly had 2 aces. Still holding on to the dimensional drift, of course, but Fnatic, another blistering start.
It feels as if it's the Kayak show, though. It feels as if it's a one-man army at the moment who is dragging Fnatic up by the collar.
30 seconds left.
BBL will feel hard done by. That's another first 3 rounds going Fnatic's way, like it did at the start of the first half.
Another begins.
BBL's attack side, you expect to set the pace of the rounds too, but it's falling to Fnatic's favor. Kayak is thriving in this environment right now. Still holding off on bringing Pal and Thinky into the equation yet again. Still believing that they have this one locked down. On this round here, Pat's just trying to make good of what the setup exactly looks like, because there's no tape there.
You need to just deny that wall going up as well by destroying the clone before it touches it is going to be important for Fnatic. They're going to have that passive information into the late round, allowing their decision making to be fairly easy.
BBL having the preference to try and overwhelm Boaster on the B hit. He will not be caught in this situation though, and with the gravity well, a little bit more time to delay the oncoming Levin, who posted in the corner as a simple pickup for Kron. Wingman making its way onto the site, but the spike felled, and Yampi, Sociable, needing a whole lot more from this host of Sheriffs, which now sit in the sole hands of Sociable. Cleared out by Kron. Double digits for Fnatic.
They are on the home straight to winning out their first ever Corrode. The debut looking serviceable, you could say.
Yeah, hold on to that one for a bit.
And with that being said, we are going to see the BBL coaching staff go for a timeout.
And it's what I was talking about moments ago. You kind of want to give it a little bit of time to air it out, but then again, BBL have found themselves in playoff matches before. The story for them was breaking into it in stage 1 and really keeping themselves there after the promise that we saw in kickoff, but you need to deliver on that consistently. And when we're speaking so much about the culture shift within the team, that comes from the backroom staff, that comes from the management as well. And with Pal now giving the players their orders, it needs to be a quick reality check, because we can't see BBL again come into a similar situation when the promise is built up there behind them. just for it to be all too easily taken away by the authority that is Fnatic, because that's ultimately the bigger picture here. They rewrite those narratives every single time, even if they aren't favorites.
Yeah, and that's the big thing coming into it. And there you have it. Kayak has the third most multi-kill rounds in VCT EMEA this year, sitting at 235 multi-frags before today. That's nothing short of ridiculous.
Yeah, and for it being his first full year on the stage after making his first showing in Berlin, in those same orange colors, but with Apex on their Ascension run, a single best of 5. One hell of a way to climatize, but here we are, BBL, the all-important round, the rifle between the two teams. Kayak still clutching onto the Yoru ult, but this time Fnatic are a no-show in middle.
Just spotting towards B main, and the fact that we are seeing
Right there.
Kayak being so aggressive, but it's the fact that we've got Prophet close by. BBL waiting for a reaction from Fnatic, but they're not getting it.
BBL, given all of this space early on, start to question themselves. Where are Fnatic? Posted up on the sites, of course. Seeing the regroup coming in. Prophet, full forfeiture of A main.
Yeah.
Rerouting himself towards B, as the rest of BBL will be. Both anchors, both controllers waiting.
That's the thing. Just a little bit of pressure moves the bodies of Fnatic towards A, leaving this B side looking maybe a little bit more weaker. Levin by the molly and in towards the site. Kron on default, able to hold it down, but can he hold on any longer? No, he can't. BBL, they're able to get the advantage and the spike plan.
Late positioning from Kayak coming in main though. Prophet has to be aware of the potential. Social has stopped the mid push, but it's from either end that Fnatic make their reprisal.
Kayak doesn't win the duel against Prophet, leaving Crashes in a 1 versus 4 with possibly one of the worst weapons, the Odin, and he has to give it up. Or at least makes it look as if he is.
Sticking around. But the round has been won through a number of players on the BBL side. It was a team effort, a well-orchestrated display of how they can look at their best when they're playing a fundamentally charged game, looking at the extremity control which they held on to, relinquished to then regroup and hit the site of B. I'm liking these sort of lurks from Profek and how it is that he's able to hold on to space. But for me, Fnatic have to reconsider their approach on middle. It looked like such an asset to them. They give it up there, and it's the biggest loss.
Scott may be a little frustrated by that, as you mentioned it. And I agree. The mid portion looked the average slap force of 950 newtons.
Scott can certainly slap a hand, I'll tell you that. Dapped us both up, felt like a rocket had gone off, and Fnatic have certainly got a fire lit underneath them here. Yampi responds in kind, 1 kill, needs 4, double headshot, only 1 though. And as much as we talked up Profek, he has a mountain to climb. Alpha can see him coming from the summit. That's where Fnatic find themselves sitting. Just a couple away from peaking on 13 to their first foray on Corrode.
Yeah, I mean, it is starting to become dominant, right? I don't know if I necessarily agree with the attack side. They made it work, but now the momentum firmly in Fnatic's favour. Look at that, 5 out of 6 rounds played.
It's the change-up too in the terms of the mid-fight. Fnatic then re-engaging here after looking like they were happy to roll over and give it back to BBL. Same this time around. Viper Wall, a little more aggressive than what you would usually expect. BBL gearing up to let one rip from their own strapbook.
But Levin denied through the razor vines of the Vice. Crashes waiting for the opportunity to get in, but the Nightfall makes the site anchors a little bit unsteady, a little bit uneasy, and Alfia makes it look easy. It's Fnatic look to fall on down, collapse upon BBL as Fnatic hit 12 with an end zone flawless.
Match point.
Coming into this one instantly with a map pool discussion, this is only going to be a huge positive to take for Fnatic on that road to champs that we expect. Simplistic shutdown, players put under scrutiny and excelling. It's what you expect.
Time to jump.
With BBL's rifles removed. It's a sorry state of affairs. The flip side is that it was Fnatic's pick, and with still rounds left to play, something we've constantly credited BBL for is their ability to turn a bad situation around, and it will start, as it often does, through Yumpy.
Toxin screen down.
Big entry kill as well. Alpha gone. That's that Vice util offline. As BBL tried to pivot in towards B, but Boaster takes a timing on towards the Phantom, and it's just a Sheriff, but he's in. Oh, he's in his cosmic form and gets taken off guard. Now, Prophet's going to be calling to the rest of BBL. Have an open sight. The problem is, Chronicle can disrupt this. He can and will. That's the spike, remember, and the players can't get out. Chronicle might have just won this map here and now, as Prophet has to try and go back and collect that spike.
Should be willing to invest the pit, give himself half a chance, but even then, 2 players on the double stack, it should be done.
Both players holding, and confirmation there. Fnatic on their debut of Corrode will win it out.
It's only one of few maps which they've been able to win on their full debut, but that now sticks them at 50%. And ever since Pearl came in with this core, we've never had the expectation they'd hit the ground running, but to do so in a Stage 2 playoffs is exactly where you want it to hit heading into champs. The perfect opener for Fnatic. We'll see if they can take it any further after this.